Yeah.
I keep getting that question about you. Why aren't you going to the university in the U.S.? I've had that question probably 20 times.
Okay.
And my answer is because he chose something else.
Yeah, but if you have the opportunity to think about something else, because most people, like
It's
when
not
I was
even an option
when I was
for
in
us.
school, the option for me after high school, I only had one.
Right.
Go to university. I did not have another option. Well, if your option is go to university in your home state, okay, or if your option is don't go to university, if your option is go to a trade school, go to Job Corps, if that's what you think of as your next thing, why would you make a different choice? You're only going to choose from the options available to you, usually that are laid out in front of you.
I would have known that it was an option for me because back then I could have gone to England and I could have lived with family and gone to school and saved tons of money and gotten a new experience. But I didn't even know that was an option.
The propaganda of the United States says you need to be here.
Right, and I think that's
in the United States. So I mean, that's the United States.
Somebody has said that this week. Why they asked why do so many people want to flee to the United States when the United States is struggling so much and there's so much hate going on and violence. And I said because we have a good PR firm.
Yeah.
And we've had we've had a good PR firm for many, 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 many decades, and so that people in other countries don't realize that America has poor. They don't realize that we have homeless. They don't realize the crime rates have increased or are increasing.
But you know what? A lot of those people that come to the United States, usually from these other countries, and they can. If they can come totally legally, it costs so much money.
Yeah.
But they're not living around all of that stuff that we see on a daily basis. They're living out somewhere. They're living somewhere else, or they're able to sequester themselves inside of the community of people of where they come from. So they're in America, but they're not a part of America.
Right.
They are essentially separate, niche kind of groups where they can go and get food from their country, they can go and get the language from their country, they can go and get all those things inside of those communities. So, they're not really getting an American, United States of America experience. They're not living in the ghetto.
No.
They're not a part of that. They're not living like white folks, but they're not living in the ghetto either.
Right.
And it's just ain't the same. And that's poor white folks or rich white folks. It don't matter. They're not living that way. They're living a whole nother kind of culture.
Right.
It's like cultures inside of cultures.
So our kids have gotten away from that. They've had the opportunity to experience different places and see that the propaganda of the U.S. being the land of gold and
milk and honey.
Is just simply not true. Well, that's because you're young.
No, that's because he didn't spend all his time in church.
Yeah.
Because that's where it comes from.
The beacon on the hill.
Well, that's Lincoln.
Reagan brought it back.
Lincoln! That's Lincoln!
Okay, but Reagan brought it back.
Reagan, all he did was act. B-movie star. Anyway.
It's true.
Acted like an actor. Holly Weird. My favorite song. Gil Scott-Heron's birthday was this week, too. What was it? Ha! B-movie. I love that song. Get that song. Listen to it. It's still relevant today, which is
really
so bad. So bad. Oh God. That's the other part is we always feel that the United States of America is so progressive, but then we go back and listen to, the songs of the 60s and the 50s and find out, wait a minute, they're still talking about heroin.
Uh-huh.
They're still talking. James Brown made a song about heroin.
Yep.
2 of them, part 1 and part 2. King Aaron. Really? We haven't moved. The needle has barely moved. We think it's moved. It feels like it's moved, but it hasn't really moved.
Nope.
Oh. Okay. Stay and fight. Figure it out. I don't know. Next, that's it. That's all I got.
That's all you got.
That's all I got. The rest of them is game stuff.
Do you have anything this
You got
week,
anything?
sir?
You got anything? You ain't got nothing? He only got his game. He's geared up for the game chat.
So
He's ready.
Sure, I had stuff.
He's made sure. He had a list and everything.
Yeah.
And he played stuff.
Yeah. And recorded stuff.
Look at his face. He's all happy.
He even played with Keegan.
See?
Do you
Told
need to
you he's
have
got
Keegan
stuff.
as part of your gamer chat this week?
If she's willing to come and sit in your chair while you go make us lunch.
Yeah, I haven't eaten today.
So
Not my fault. You
woke
got-
up late.
What time did you wake up?
I got up at
I woke up and the sun was up.
Shut the front door, so it was
So-
after 6 a.m.
Yeah, I got up at like 8.
Yep. After 6 a.m.
Wow, impressive.
I blame the whiskey.
I'm okay with that. Because you never get up that late.
Yeah, I got up at like 8:45.
Really?
Yeah. And it's 12:12 and I haven't eaten or had anything to drink yet.
I got up at 8 a.m. You haven't had anything to eat or drink? Wait, Shema.
Because I woke up, took a shower, put the cats in my room, saw Daddy play a little bit of Rage, took all the clothes downstairs, started the laundry, and then I watched like half a video and came up and we were podcasting.
Okay then.
Yeah. So I haven't eaten anything yet.
Shout out to the back of the theater. I did listen. I promised I would listen this morning. I did it. I was learning about the Holman method.
But it wasn't,
Hans.
you weren't laughing
I
hysterically.
was not laughing at all. It was very.
I
there
think
was,
you laughed one time at something, and
Yep. It was the Holman method. It was all about film. It was down to the roots.
that was the professor, right?
Mm-hmm.
From Howard?
He's more than a professor. If you look him up, Michael Holman. Yeah.
What else is he?
Oh, lots.
Film God.
He's a film god?
Film, music, hip hop. What else? Art. He's a painter, I think. Yeah, sponge. I think. He's got his own Wikipedia page and everything.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Tis more than a man.
More than a man. The Holman method. We were all over that. So,
I don't think I spelled Holman right.
how do you spell it wrong?
Hollman.
Whole man.
I think you're getting close. Maybe just one L.
Because like, a white dude showed up.
It's not a white dude.
I know it's not a white dude.
So, yes.
Ah, there he is, 1L.
Mm-hmm. Told you. Yeah, I was all over it. I like that show. It was good. Lots of information about screenwriting. Lots of information. As an English teacher, you're always trying to get students to get their you're usually fighting with students to get their ideas on paper, especially when it's not a creative writing class, like they didn't come to the class to write.
Uh-huh.
But when you're trying to get them to do anything, like these kids have to do a presentation. Part of the presentation is going to be dancing, but the other part of the presentation, they needed to write it out. They needed to script it because they have to. They've got 3 groups and they've got to do the same thing in each group. And so I literally put on the board, edit and revise what you're going to do. And they all look like, wait a minute, we're doing a presentation. Like, why do we have to revise it? Why do we have to edit it? It's like, this is a process that you're going to do.
The first thing you write down.
But it's not even that. It's the idea that how do you make it better? How do you improve it? How do you make it interesting? And what I've been telling my students about this is they need to make it so that their parents don't look at their cell phones.
Right.
Because that's the issue. Whenever they do anything, the parents are like,
Oh,
and they're up there, and the parents are looking at their cell phones. Or the parents are watching the thing through their cell phone. And it's like, no, people, you should be engaged in the moment with your child. You should be listening to what they're doing or thinking about what they're doing. And
I think that goes for a lot of just creative things, like just editing YouTube videos. That's a big part of it, because I always sit down and it's like, if I wouldn't watch this, then I need to make it interesting.
Well, and I remember you had sent me a video at one point, and I watched it, and I'm like, are you sure you're done with this? And you're like, what's wrong with it? And you got really upset, and then you watched it again, and you were like, I'll be back. Because sometimes, and I've been telling my kids this, you can look at the thing over and over and over and over again, but you're gonna miss things. You're gonna miss mistakes. You're gonna miss hiccups because you're used to what it looks like. So that's when you go and you give it to someone else. And they asked me one time, well, who do you give your things to? And I said, I usually take a brand new red pen and the page to my husband and say, do your thing.
Yeah, but the idea is you take it to someone, to like your peer or something. Take it to someone.
Peer editing.
Yeah. And so I have been working with our scripts, and on Monday we're going to do a final edit so that they can start memorizing their stuff, because we were told they aren't allowed to have their cue cards, their note cards at all. And so they will
Which is not smart.
No, not for a 9-year-old. And they have so much to do.
How old was I when I was in the play?
Yeah, you have a different situation.
But also, being in a play, it's someone else's script, and someone else is a director, and you have people that are working on sets. You're not doing all of the things.
I just follow direction.
But you're also your job is to learn the lines, whereas...
And it was your native language.
Right.
True.
It's a totally different idea than, we're going to do a presentation and everybody has to do everything in order to prepare for that thing.
And every one of my kids has to be able to do every single part in English and Spanish, because some of the parents don't speak English.
Which I don't understand, because honestly, they could have, say, this person who's very strong in Spanish, let them do the Spanish, and this person that's very strong in English, let them do the English, and just do both.
Well, we've actually done that. We've separated by groups. This group is going to do all Spanish, this group is going to do all English. But then we have three, our kids split up into 3 groups, but the third group, they have to do cinema, international Mexican cinema, international and Mexican theater, whereas the other 2 groups don't have to do the theater because the other 2 classes are handling that part. So our kids have so much to learn, and so I told them on Monday we will have a peer edit. Your friends are going to read your script out loud. If there's something that needs to be changed, they're going to write it down on a piece of paper, and they will give it back to you, and you will fix it.
Yeah, I kind of wish that collaboration and co-construction were a part of, like, just basic education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because definitely something that needs to be taught.
They do not understand. It's like, why do we have to do what they're doing? It's like, because you're all part of the same group, you're all doing the same presentation. Well, why can't we just do what we did in the past? Why do we have to think of something new? Why do we have to be fresh? Why do we have to... It's like, guys, why would you ever choose to be boring?
No kidding.
And then complain that you're boring.
Yep.
It's like, why do that? Why make that choice? Why not choose something that is interesting to you, that's also interesting to your audience? Who is your audience? And it's like, when I started talking about that, it's like, this translates into everything you do. It's like, why would you do something that your parents have seen you do 5 times now? And I have to actually make that argument to these students. It's like, 5 times you've done a thing. Do you really think that your parents are still interested in seeing you do that thing? Yeah, why not? This is what they expect. It's like, why would you want them? Why would you give them that? Why would you want them to do? But anyway, if you want to find the Traveling Farrs on the YouTube, Facebook, Pinterest, iTunes, Spotify,
Google,
or the Google Play, you can find us at The Traveling Farrs. If you like the Twitter and the Instagram, send us messages at Traveling Farrs. If you like email, travelingfars@gmail.com, and the blog space, thetravelingfars.blueberry.net. No E's in Blueberry. Say goodbye to the people. Say goodbye to the people.
Bye.
Peace! Came to. Oh, now you want to wait grade